Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen across our beautiful country of Canada, our friends south of the border in the United States of America, Mexico, and pretty well all around the world, the known and unknown universe, our in our matrix, dimensions, whatever. You got to trust science is the main theme now. But welcome back to your favorite Angry Canadian on the 31st day of May 2023. And this is part 2 of that video where I can't believe how Chrystia Freeland, who happens to be the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance and close friend of George Soros and whoever else, probably Zelensky, get together and have tea or coffee, whatever, maybe a couple of shots of moonshine. But she's being questioned in the House of Commons about a second tax that is supposed to be coming on the energy sector. Gas specifically. We already have tax on gas, keeps going up. I think it's every beginning of April it goes up, and it will go up and up because what they want to do is price gas out of the reach of people so you won't be buying a new vehicle. As a matter of fact, I think by 2035 they're all supposed to be electric. But it's to force you away from gasoline and diesel. Mind you, the big semis hauling, they haven't thought anything out. They haven't thought out about the rural populations and people up north and people in the south and people around the world. There's no friggin' thought to that. It's just to screw over Western countries so a very few can take control because they seem to think they have a God complex and they know what's right and you don't know what you need. You don't know how to do things. You need the experts, you need the scientists, the politicians to tell you what's what and how to do things, how to behave, how to live. You need them. Maybe not for long with AI and robotics coming along, but that's still down the road. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And basically the same thing in a bunch of different languages. Grab it from Google Translate. But the point is, we got fooled in 2021, 2022. All the way up to now, they're still trying to defend a position that brought harm onto a lot of people. But now they got a new, well, not now. They've been aiming at this for a long time. We have to do something about climate change. The fact is the world is burning up. And I got videos up on my other channel about when all the geeks were out talking about, we have 10 years to go. That was AOC, Joe Biden, Justin Trudeau. 10 years. The scientists have told us we only have 10 years to go. And so now the governments are going to act again.
Dr. Tim Ball, an historical climatologist, sent me one sentence, which I think is beautiful to end this particular topic if you want to go on to others. He said, you can mention that it was warmer than today for at least 95% of the last 10,000 years.
What?
That's what he said.
You're kidding.
James?
Yes.
I hope people watching this get the idea that there's a lot of data on the other side, that we're all fighting to get in peats of data because there's so much to say. And I just want to read something that they should read this at the Climate Summit. I think they should really read this today to describe what's going on. And this is from a reliable source, American Meteorological Society Monthly Weather Review publication, that the Arctic Ocean is warming up. Icebergs are growing scarcer, and in some places the seals are finding the water too hot, according to a report by the Commerce Department at Bergen, Norway. Reports from fishermen, sea hunters, explorers all over point to radical change in climate conditions. Why aren't they reading this? And hitherto unheard of temperatures in the Arctic zone. Exploration expeditions report scarcely any ice as far north as 81 degrees. Soundings show the Gulf Stream very warm. Masses of ice have been replaced by moraines of earth and stones, and it goes on and on. Within a few years, it's predicted that due to the ice melt, the sea will rise and make most coastal cities uninhabitable.
What year was that written?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. This is 1922. This is November 1922, and this is real. This is not urban legend.
Yeah.
This has really happened. This was really reported. It was warm then, and then guess what happened after that? Of course, it cooled off, and so I just had to throw that. Monthly weather review.
Meteorological Society publication.
These were all facts. It was extremely warm back then in the polar regions.
And could I hit one up Tom for a second here? Okay. Tom mentioned 90%. Was 90% of the time since the Ice Age, the Earth was warmer than it is now. Actually, 90% of the time since creation, the Earth was warmer than it is now, because the geological evidence indicates that over all of geologic history, 4.65 billion years, somewhere between 5 and 10% of that time was there any substantial ice on Earth. And now there is. There's Greenland, Antarctica, and then summer ice all over the planet, well, lots of places. So you're talking 5 or 10% of the time was the planet cooler than it is now.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we're at one of the lowest levels of CO2 in Earth's history. Okay,
Yes,
that's really
very
important.
good point.
I mean, 440 million years ago, when we were in the depths of the coldest period in the last half billion years, we had 1,100% of today's CO2 levels, according to geologic proxies. So, yeah, CO2 is very low right now. They say 40% rise in the last century since 1880. Well, that's peanuts in natural terms.
Well,
So-
we should be very
Wasn't
glad
there a carboniferous?
The carbon dioxide in this room is now around 900. Now, either we should be happy about it or perhaps evacuate the room for fear that there's something bad about it. There's nothing bad about carbon dioxide. The more
So I welcome to the stage Mark Morano, who will be talking, I guess, about the Great Reset, right? Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that introduction, and thank the Heartland Institute for this opportunity. I'm going to talk Great Reset today. You know, when James and Jim asked me, they said, Mark, do you believe in free speech? And I said, absolutely. I think it's one of the fundamental bedrocks of our society. And they said, well, that's good, because you're giving a free speech in Orlando. So here I am. Great Reset. Now, I spoke this morning at a panel, but I just want to say that in March 2020, our entire climate energy debate changed, probably forever within our lifetime. It accelerated a lot of trends. What happened in March of 2020 essentially was the bypassing of democracy for COVID regulations. And the left and the climate activists were very jealous at first. And then later they're like, we got to do the same thing. And this had happened in Obama. They had the executive orders with all their climate stuff. And they were trying, because he failed to get it through Congress. But they were lusting after the idea of just declaring an emergency and then doing whatever you wanted. Very similar to one-party rule China. That's my book, The Great Reset. And yes, there is a book, Justin with the Heartland Institute, their book with Glenn Beck, and we also have a couple other ones. But my book came out in September of this year, past year, and I go through the whole concept of the Great Reset, World Economic Forum. And I'm going to explain today how this is a multi-pronged attack. This was decades of trends that led to this, and our whole climate debate now is no longer in the democratic realm. At least they're pushing it to keep it out of the democratic realm. This is Klaus Schwab, you know him. The pandemic is a rare, narrow window of opportunity to reset our world. He said this in June of 2020, 2 months after COVID lockdowns hit. Every country must participate and you will be transformed. A reset of capitalism. This is coming from the Davos World Economic Forum. These are the people who came up with stakeholder capitalism. You don't evaluate your business on whether it's profitable, you get a return on your money. It's all about whether you basically meet woke principles of equity, diversity, inclusion, climate, environmental goals. Their slogan became, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. This is right off their video. They later pulled this video, and many people, including Ezra Levant and others, saved the video on archive. They gave away too much of their game a few years before. Whatever you want will be delivered by drone. Now this is long before COVID, so you get the idea. There's stay-at-home kind of stuff here. Other stuff will be delivered. They even go so far as to describe you won't even own appliances. You'll rent one. If you need a blender, you hit up a little app and then one gets delivered within minutes, and then you're finished with it. You come back, a drone will take it away. They have this arrogance of this vision of this great reset where bureaucracy is going to just be incredibly efficient. They predict 1 billion people will die of climate change, or displaced. Meat, this is about meat, it's important. It's an occasional treat, not a staple, for the good of the environment and our health, because that's one of the things they're doing. So what I'm going to talk about today is very simple. These are the intentional collapse of modern society. They're collapsing our free speech rights and currency, along with that central bank digital currency, which I'll talk a little bit about. Our current energy system, which you know all about, is being intentionally collapsed for this net zero utopian vision. Our transportation system is being collapsed. And make no mistake, a mandate for electric cars and banning of gas-powered cars creates car shortages. That's all it can do. A la Cuba, a la East Germany with the old crappy East German Trabant, where you had to be on waiting lists for years. One government-approved car was the Trabant, and that's where it's going to be here with that. So we're going to be like a Mecca with Cuba if we allow this to go through. And the secondary phrase here is, this will happen if we allow it. We can't allow it. Our ability to own home and property intentionally collapsed. Our high-yield agriculture, which I think Patrick Moore and some others are going to be talking about, is being intentionally collapsed to create man-made food shortages. And we'll talk about that, with what's going on in the Netherlands. So,
I'm at Bongbu City, southeast China. Around me are some 6,500 hectares of alfalfa ready for its last harvest this year. Well, alfalfa is one of the best feeds for raising animals, and later they will be delivered to the largest dairy farm nearby. Some 5 kilometers away sits modern farming, the largest raw milk producer in China. I'm about to get changed, take a look around, and find out how they produce such high-quality dairy products. I'm inside one of the 26 cow sheds here at the dairy farm, where most of the cows get rest and fed. This is the lactating cow barn, where cows of around 2 or 3 years old are raised. It stretches over 300 meters with double rows, meaning over 38,000 cows eat and sleep here. 您这是在干嘛呢？
你好，正在检查天妈的搅拌质量。
这里面都有些什么呀？
主要有苜蓿草、青储玉米、玉米鸦片、棉籽、豆粕等几十种原料混合而成的天妈。
Unlike traditional dairy farms in China, which used to collect milk from individual sheds, modern dairy runs large-scale pastures and raises its own cows, and that just to make sure to create a comfortable environment for the cows before they go to work. 您可以教教我怎么给牛这个上杯吗？
可以，一个手抓杯，我们一个手按这个按钮。
这个是计时的。
对，开始挤奶，这样的话抓住，这就 OK 了。
像这样一头牛啊，一天大概能产出多少公斤的奶啊？
我们像这样的牛，高峰期产量的话，50到60公斤。
一头牛？对，
一天。
它一天要输出多少次呢？
我们挤3次，早中晚3次。
There are 8 of these large rotary milking machines in the collecting hall, and each of them can hold 80 cows at the same time and work around the clock. More than 20,000 lactating cows are milked here, meaning they will produce over 650 tons of fresh milk every day. Now, thanks to this new automatic technology, the pipeline makes milk delivery incredibly quick. It also reduces the probability of bacterial breeding and ensures maximum nutritional value. According to the China Dairy Data Report released by the Dairy Association of China, in 2018, China's raw milk output was 31 million tons, making the country the 6th in the world, just behind India, the European Union, and the US. From 1949 to 2018, China's total raw milk production increased from 200,000 tons to 31 million, a 145-fold increase. Consumption of milk and dairy quadrupled from 1995 to 2010 among urban residents, also nearly 6x compared to rural ones. Along with improvement in living standards, China's demands for dairy products is continually growing. In 2017, the average consumption of dairy products reached to 20.3 kilograms per person every year, as compared to just 8.8 kilograms in 2005. However, the quality of these dairy products is a top concern for consumers.
Northeast China has always been an agricultural region, and the use of technology in the industry has revolutionized farming here. An unmanned farm in this region showcases the application of technology in farming. The farm is equipped with sensors, cameras, and robots to monitor and manage the farm's activities. These devices collect data on soil moisture, temperature, and nutrient levels, among other things, to make sure that crops receive optimal conditions for growth. The robots are used for activities such as planting, watering, and fertilizing. The unmanned farm also has a cloud-based management system that can be accessed remotely to manage operations, and it enables farmers to make informed decisions based on real-time data. In China, smart factories are being used to increase agricultural production efficiency. The use of technology in agriculture has increased productivity and efficiency by automating tasks that were previously performed manually. The smart factory is equipped with advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence, big data analytics, and the Internet of Things. These technologies are used to monitor and control every aspect of the production process, including planting, irrigation, fertilization, and harvesting. The use of robots in the smart factory reduces the need for human labor, making the process faster, more efficient, and less costly. China's Smart Agriculture competition provides an excellent opportunity for tech companies to showcase their innovations in the field. The competition is open to all participants who develop smart agriculture solutions, and the winners are selected based on the effectiveness, sustainability, and innovation of their solutions. The competition has been instrumental in promoting the use of technology in agriculture, as well as encouraging the development of sustainable and environmentally friendly solutions. Intelligent greenhouses in northwest China have played a significant role in promoting smart agriculture. These greenhouses are equipped with advanced technologies such as sensors, cameras, and automated systems that regulate the environment inside the greenhouse. The sensors monitor the temperature, humidity, and CO2 levels inside the greenhouse, and the automated systems adjust the conditions based on the data collected. This automation has led to higher crop yields and reduced labor costs. The intelligent greenhouses also have a cloud-based management system that can be accessed remotely to manage operations, and it enables farmers to make informed decisions based on real-time data. An unmanned farm in Shanghai has recently completed its first harvest, showcasing the potential of technology in agriculture. The farm is equipped with automated systems that regulate the environment and the growing conditions inside the greenhouse. The farm is also equipped with robots that perform tasks such as planting, watering, and fertilizing, reducing the need for human labor. The use of technology has increased efficiency and productivity while reducing costs. The first harvest was a success, leading to higher yields and greater profits. In central China, raising pigs has become a high-tech industry with a 26-story building dedicated to pig farming. The building is equipped with advanced technologies such as automated feeding systems, temperature control systems, and waste management systems. The use of these technologies has led to higher productivity, lower labor costs, and improved animal welfare. Additionally, the building's vertical design allows for more efficient use of space, making it possible to raise a large number of pigs in a limited area. The building also has a ventilation system that helps to control odors and maintain air quality, addressing the environmental concerns associated with traditional pig farming. This innovative approach to pig farming is an example of how technology can be used to address the challenges faced by the agricultural industry. In China, a rural woman has become a drone pilot, using advanced technology to promote intelligent agriculture. She uses drones to monitor crops and collect data on soil moisture, temperature, and nutrient levels. The data collected is analyzed to provide insights that help farmers make informed decisions on planting, fertilization, and harvesting. The use of drones in agriculture has led to higher yields, improved efficiency, and reduced labor costs. The woman's story has become an inspiration for other women in rural areas, highlighting the potential of technology to empower and transform traditional industries. In China, unmanned harvesters are making summer farm work more intelligent. These harvesters are equipped with advanced technologies such as GPS, sensors, and cameras, which enable them to navigate through fields and harvest crops with precision.
I believe this was 1919, the Russian Revolution is going on. The slogan for Vladimir Lenin doing the Tsar against the Tsarist Russia was, "The worse the better, worse is better." Now, I've done a lot of interviews in the Great Reset, and they're like, "Oh, that's just not going to happen. They'll never be able to achieve that vision." And I'm like, it's not really about achieving their utopian vision, whether it's on energy or the ideal number of people. It's about creating a massive amount of chaos, which would then put them in charge of this chaos. We're already seeing calls to nationalize the energy industry because the free market failed to manage energy. Every time there's a blackout, more calls to nationalize it. Once they create a food shortage, we've been warned by Al Gore And the United Nations and people like James Hansen, climate will cause great food disruption. No, the climate policies will cause great food disruption. And so once their policies cause this disruption, the intentional collapse, then they get even more power and do more of the same policies. And that, make no mistake, is how they're going to get us, this chaos and shortages, get you more likely to be open to eating insects as a protein source, more likely to be eating Bill Gates' lab-grown meat, which is different than the Impossible Burger, not the vegetable. I'm talking about lab-grown meat, stem cells from a cow or a calf, grown in a steel vat, cultivated for a few months, and then literally printed up on a 3D printer. World Economic Forum loves that idea. Hey, what's for dinner, honey? Oh, I'm making a steak, one of those synthetic steaks. It'll be ready in about 20 minutes. It prints up 3 kilograms a minute or something. This is what they're literally talking about. They don't want to have us, the old system. So this is a 1932 book. This is FDR's kitchen cabinet, Stuart Chase, an economist. And his actual line in the book at the end of the 1932 book is, why should the Soviets have all the fun remaking the world? Now remember, this was during the time New York Times was praising Stalin's land reforms in Russia, his 5-year plans, the agricultural revolution. Roosevelt's cabinet got caught up in this. When he means by have all the fun, he means this vision of this ruling class elite being able to manage and plan and micromanage every aspect of your life, the administrative state. That's fun for these guys. And as I mentioned this morning, every era of history, the ruling class has tried to invent ways in which to make the rest of us lose our freedom, and they want to make us happy that we're losing our freedom. It's for our own good. We're protecting you from whether it's even terrorism or the climate or the environment or food shortages or this chaos. We'll protect you. You just have to give up your freedom. And COVID was the exact example of that. But in this book, in Roosevelt's kitchen cabinet, he envisioned, this is incredible, control of banking, credit by the government, control of energy sources, hydroelectric, coal, petroleum, control of transportation, railway, highway, airway, control of agricultural production, state control of communication and propaganda, their phrase. What's amazing about this, they didn't achieve that all then, but this has been their goal. So they wait, it's lie in waiting. They wait for that crisis to push this. So what's happened, I think, since March of 2020 and why everything's changed, just in terms of politically for us, the once free West is copying China's one-party rule. This is the World Health Organization sent a sham investigative committee in January, February of 2020. Go see what's going on in China. At the time, China was locking down. They had the hazmat suits. They were telling people that people were dropping dead in the streets, if you believe the videos, and they were doing a complete lockdown. Well, Anthony Fauci got on board, Neil Ferguson, and the WHO, World Health Organization, said copy China. Italy did it, and then it came to the United States and globally, and we all locked down. Neil Ferguson said if China had not done the lockdown, the year would have been different. So this was done like, thank God for China. That's their mentality. So the once free West for years has lusted after this one-party Chinese-style rule. This is Tom Friedman on the pages of the New York Times. This wasn't like, oh, he said it in a blog or he was in an interview. One-party autocracy certainly has its drawbacks, but it's read by a reasonably enlightened group of people, as China is today. Don't you know they support climate change? It can also have great advantages. The one party can impose the politically difficult but critically important policies needed to move a society forward. This is our ruling class, pages in the New York Times praising China's one-party rule.
President, for the first time the European Parliament is calling for a UN financing mechanism for climate reparations, and I have to say I really welcome that. Because the sick truth about the climate crisis, as so many colleagues have pointed out, is that it's the poorest in society, those least responsible, who are always the hardest hit. And therefore, it is only right that those actually responsible for climate destruction are the ones who end up paying up. And that's not about me and you digging deeper into our pockets and being charitable. No, we need to deal with the extreme polluters in society, not your neighbour driving to work or your granny going on an overseas holidays. It's the super wealthy who are taking up an outrageous amount of our carbon space and getting away with it. This is where we need to start, and therefore I'd encourage support for our amendments 13 and 16 on carbon inequality and curtailing private jet use. The richest 10% are responsible for over half of all carbon emissions. Private jet use is up to 30% higher than pandemic. This is madness. We need to get rid of our climate guilt and replace it with outrage.
Thank you, Ms. Daly.
False. Well, so we'll assume that that is false, but we'll assume that she intends to tax the tax, and that means that Canadians will pay once with a carbon tax and then twice with a tax on the tax. So what will be the full cost of the carbon tax per litre once the tax and the tax and the tax are fully implemented? How much?
The leader of the official opposition just said it was false that he doesn't have a climate plan. So does that mean he is sticking with the previous Conservative leader's climate plan? That's what he was elected on.
The question was, how much per litre once the carbon tax is fully implemented? How much?
The point, Madam Chair, is that in the 21st century, the world is building a clean economy. The Conservatives are in denial about that. That is a disservice to all.
What was Canada's ranking in the Climate Performance Index out of 63 countries?
Let me tell you some important rankings. TD judging our green economy plan.
So, what was Canada's ranking in the Climate Performance Index? What was our ranking?
TD judged our climate plan in the 23 budget to put us at par with the United States and ahead of the rest of the world as a green economy investment destination.
Funny. The United States doesn't have a carbon tax, but even funnier that she thinks that the bankers are happy. Well, I'm sure they're happy. They don't mind paying what turns out to be 41 cents a litre when this carbon tax is fully implemented. How much will that cost net to the average family?
I would like the Conservatives to really look themselves in the mirror and ask, is it credible in the 21st century to not have a climate plan? Because that is the reality of this opposition. It's a disservice to all Canadians.
She has a tax plan, but she can't even tell us how much it will cost. We know it will be 41 cents a litre for the first carbon tax. How much will it cost the average family in higher heat, gas, and grocery bills? How much?
As the leader of the official opposition should know, our price on pollution goes right back into the pockets of every family in Canada. It goes back into the pockets of families here in Ontario, of families in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, in Manitoba, across the country.
The answer, according to the Parliamentary Budget Officer, is in PEI it'll be $1,500, for example, in Ontario $1,800, in Alberta $2,700, and that's just the first carbon tax. We just learned that the government plans to implement a second carbon tax called a so-called clean fuel standard. How much will that tax add to the cost of a litre of gasoline when fully implemented? How much?
I'd like to remind the Conservative leader of what he said and everyone sitting beside him when they asked Canadians for their vote in the last election. We will assess progress so carbon prices can be on a path of $170 to a ton. Are they disavowing that, Madam Chair?
I never supported such a thing, so of course I don't need to disavow it. But the question was, the minister plans a second carbon tax. A second carbon tax. How much will that tax add to the price of a litre of gas? How much?
Madam Chair, I just read from the 2021 Conservative platform. The leader of the opposition ran as an MP on that platform. He now says he didn't support it. So was he misleading Canadians when he asked for their vote?
No. The answer, Madam Speaker, is that the second carbon tax will cost another $1,000 in Alberta, another $611 in Manitoba, another $850 in Newfoundland and Labrador. Where does she expect the people of those provinces to get that money?
Madam Chair, let's talk about something else. Every single Conservative, including the Conservative leader, promised to Canadians when he asked for their vote. This is a sacred trust we enter into in election campaigns. The Conservative platform said, we will finalize and improve.
So she's got carbon tax 1, carbon tax 2. She can't tell anybody what they cost. Either she doesn't know or she doesn't want Canadians to know. Can you tell us what will be the total cost to an average family, net of rebates, of carbon tax 1 plus carbon tax 2, how much, and how much?
Madam Chair, I would like to refresh the Conservative leader's memory because in the last campaign, his party promised to improve the clean fuel regulations to reduce carbon emissions from every liter of gasoline and other liquid fuels we burn. Now, was that something that the Conservative leader supported when he knocked on doors?
The question was how much is the total cost per family of the two combined carbon taxes plus the tax on the tax and the tax? How much, and how much? That's the easy question. She's got an official there. Perhaps he could hand her a briefing note. How much is it?
The point, Madam Chair, is plan beats no plan. And these Conservatives either were misleading Canadians in the last election, which it seems they were, or today they simply do not have a climate plan.